Welcome, Mr. Shayne Mullen, to Building on Blockchain. I am thrilled to have you on and talk about BlockFi and talk about your journey into cryptocurrency. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, this is beautiful. I'm very, very excited to hear and to hear about your story and to hear about your journey into the industry and where you think we might be headed. This is such a thrilling time in cryptocurrency and blockchain. We're bigger and badder than we've ever been. And so let's start off at the beginning. If you wouldn't mind spending a couple minutes, just tell me about your background, what you did before blockchain and crypto, and how that made its way into your life and your journey into the industry and maybe the potential that you saw.
Yeah, 100%. So it's great to be here, first and foremost. Love these types of channels. We are huge supporters of YouTube creators, content creators, curators, both crypto, personal finance, and everything in between. So love what you're doing. Hope to see more of it in the future from a bunch of other folks out there, because it's what helps gets us to the next level, right, of adoption. It really is. It really is. My background has historically always been within, the kind of the convergence of finance and technology. So when I graduated, I started at a company called Bloomberg, which I think everybody's familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, the whole concept of fintech, right, and like the venture-backed fintech ecosystem was not a thing. This was in like 2012. Really, like the dominant fintechs were Bloomberg, FactSet, First Data, right? A lot of these like really large companies that you've never heard of unless you're an institutional investor or you're in the payments ecosystem, because a lot of these guys work behind the scenes. So learned tons about how institutional investors are using products, how trading works, how lending works, how FX works, equities, debt, the whole nine yards, right? Really like a comprehensive training there. I found a niche within mortgages, and then found a little bit more of a niche within kind of call it consumer ABS, consumer lending. And about 3 years into Bloomberg, I actually got approached by, funny enough, Zach Prince, who's our CEO now at BlockFi, when he was working as a VP of sales at a company called Orchard Platform. And so I applied to her job there. And at the time, Orchard was 10 people. They had raised a Series A, or I don't even know if they'd raised a Series A at the time. But they were a startup, 100%, smack dab in the middle of this new kind of fintech evolution, which was happening in like 2014. I never worked at a startup. I was like, I don't know if I should do this. Like, there's no security. Like, this is very risky. I have absolutely no idea if this is going to succeed or not. But I wanted to explore the world of small businesses, startups, venture-backed tech companies. I wanted to see what it was all about, because I'd never done it before. I ended up joining Orchard as sales, like junior sales guy. I was like an account executive working under Zach. At Orchard, we were a order management system, so a trading system for institutional investors to buy loans on marketplace lending platforms. So I don't know if you're familiar with Lending Club or Prosper or Funding Circle. All these online lending platforms had just emerged out of nowhere, right? Prior to 2014, if you wanted to get a loan, you'd have to walk into a bank, sit down, talk to a banker. They'd issue you an unsecured consumer loan for 20 grand. It would take, I don't know, an hour, right? You'd have to fill out paperwork. It was a very lengthy process. These online lenders, Lending Club and Prosper, effectively took that process and put it online, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then what they would do is from a capital markets perspective, they would let retail people like you or I fund the loan of the other person on the other side of the marketplace. So I could actually make, my 10% or 12% interest on a loan that I originate as a retail for someone who's looking for cash. So we allowed institutional investors to buy those loans. And then we ended up building a data product. We ended up building, some more, call it capital markets intensive type data products. And we sold that business to Cabbage, who was a small business lender. So my time at Orchard was like, whoa, fintech is here to stay. Like, bank unbundling is a very real thing, right? In my kind of like growing up in the fintech community, all I saw was companies popping up, taking a sliver of what a bank does and doing it really well, really different online. So you have student loans, auto loans, you have savings accounts, you have credit cards. You have all these different kind of avenues, right? Where companies are unbundling, building, making it better tech stack, more efficient, less cost, etc. So that was like the world, the fintech world grew up in from my career perspective. I ended up moving to San Francisco because obviously San Francisco is the second largest kind of tech hub in the world. Yeah. First largest, New York, second largest. So I went from New York to San Francisco. And I ended up working within an area that was tangential to lending, right? So we had a business unit or revenue stream that was lending focused, but it was really a payments company. And I didn't know anything about payments at the time. And I was very, very interested in learning about payments because it is a multi-100 billion, if not trillion-dollar industry. It powers everything that we think of from a productivity perspective and commerce perspective. It is a very unique space. And it also is a space that like hasn't been changed that much since, for the last, call it 15, 20 years. Like people are still sending money to each other via a wire. We're still sending international money to internet through the international, the SWIFT network, which was created in like the 80s and the 90s. So like, I was like, wow, disrupting payments can be kind of cool. And when I was out in San Francisco, I really started to get really interested in working at this company, Quill Payments and Lending, really interested in like blockchain, more distributed ledgers, right? So how does like distributed ledger technology allow for faster payments, international, right? At cheaper cost of doing business. So companies like Ripple and Stellar and others like it, Corda, were like the three that I was like, whoa, this is like, these guys are going to potentially change the way that like global commerce operates in. And that's what got me like hooked, right? So then I started getting deeper and deeper and deeper. 2017, I bought some Ethereum. And then, from there, it was like, I was hooked. I was a crypto person. It wasn't until like last year. So like now it's kind of speed up to more recent. Last year in like April, I talked to Zach and, there was a role for partnerships and BD at the company. And that's when I decided to come over and join BlockFi.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a story. What an introduction. So obviously, I think many people can agree this is kind of the future of finance, where we're going as quickly as this is evolving. The amount of traction it's picking up, the clients, the interest it's generating. There's so much hype. And you've been on the front line of this for quite some time now. So you have noticed some of these changes firsthand, both behind the scenes and on the consumer, retail, institutional side.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing. So
yeah,
you've been with BlockFi, you said, for about a year or so.
Yeah, a little under a year, but in BlockFi terms, that's 5 years.
Right. So BlockFi, I know they're a lending startup. I don't know if they're still a startup. They're 4 years old. They're still in their infancy. They provide crypto-funded interest to clients. And founded in 2017. You guys have got funding from highly notable companies like Fidelity, Coinbase Ventures, Consensus, Galaxy Digital, Morgan Creek, Winklevoss Capital, and others. Out of this 4-year-old story, like what can you share from the story of BlockFi, from when you joined the team to what was going on and what you see here today?
Yeah, everything you said there, totally accurate. I would consider BlockFi now, to kind of your startup comment, more like late stage growth at the area that we're at. There's definitely a lot of startup things about a startup that we still kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis, but we've grown pretty extensively over the last 7 months, and now feels a lot more kind of institutionalized and mature for where we were when I started. We're about 450 employees, and we have offices in 5 different countries now. Pretty huge. Crazy. Right? Yeah. I know. Like, I don't know I used to know most people at the company. Now I don't know anybody on my team. And to your point, like what sets us kind of apart from the rest of the competition is that we're, A, US based, B, we've raised, venture money from really predominant institutions. Some of you named, right? Yeah. Coinbase Ventures, Winklevoss, Teal, right? And that's the equity that powers the business. And we've never raised an ICO. right? We don't do any of that stuff. It's not in our DNA, no utility token. And we're also regulated, right? Which is really important to understand that we have a money services business license at the FinCEN level. And then we also have money transmitter and lending license in all the states we operate in. So we are 100% legit, right? We are growing exponentially fast in terms of new accounts and new funded clients. And because we have all these people now, we're able to build different unique product sets and then make our products even better a lot faster than I think a lot of the other players out there. In terms of what we do, right, our kind of flagship offering for the retail audience is what we define as our BlockFi interest account. So you nailed it on the head. Nowhere else in the space are you able to deposit your crypto onto a secure and safe platform and earn more interest than you would anywhere else in the world in the traditional banking system.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right?
It's beautiful.
So today we pay about 6% on Bitcoin. We pay, 5.25% on Ethereum. We pay 8.6 on stablecoin, which is very compelling, I think, for a lot of people, because if you're parking your USD at the bank, you're going to be earning about 80 basis points, right? 0.8%. Put your USD in the form of stablecoin on our platform, you're earning 10 times that amount. And you can withdraw whenever you want, right? There's no lockups or anything like that. Yeah. So that's really compelling. We have tons of clients that use this product. It's our flagship. It's what's been propelling us into the world that we're in today. Another thing another product that kind of second pillar for BlockFi related is trading. So like most people don't know that you can actually buy and sell crypto on BlockFi for half, if not more than half the fee, less the fee than Coinbase and Gemini. Yeah. Well, I always talk to people. They're like, yeah, I bought on Coinbase. I moved to BlockFi. I bought to Gemini. I moved to BlockFi. Mm-hmm. Love that, right? Because we're the wealth management platform that you should earn yield and over time. Oh, yeah. But I'm like, just buy on BlockFi. It's cheaper and it's there, right? Like instantly earning your yield as soon as you make that trade. So trading is a big part of what we do. It's going to be a bigger part, I think, from a marketing and push perspective coming this year. We also offer crypto-backed loans. It's kind of like the third pillar. Another really compelling product, which was our first. So if you own crypto, which you do, and you don't want to sell, whether it's for tax purposes, liquidity purposes, or anything like that, you can pledge your crypto as collateral, and then we will issue you a USD based loan plus an interest rate of 7 to 10%. Great way to access liquidity. Yeah. I know people who have literally bought a house with this option, right? Or put a down payment on a car or whatever it may be. Awesome. So super, super interesting. And then last but not least, which I think is going to be a massive, massive driver of new business and just general growth on the adoption side of the house, meaning getting more people that are not crypto related into the crypto ecosystem, is the Bitcoin Rewards credit card. Oh, yeah. And that comes out in June ish timeframe. We're actually releasing today a set of new benefits, which are going to be awesome. So for BlockFi customers, you're going to be able to earn up to like $750 in additional benefits. Oh, right. People are, which I'm fired up about. I'm like, all right, give me the card. Like I want to start earning these benefits today. But I really do think that product is going to be like the ultimate bridge, right, between traditional finance and crypto. Or just general kind of like crypto financial services and general financial services, because it allows you to use something, a financial product, back to like the unbundling construct, right? You're used to using your Chase Freedom card or your Amex or your Citi or whatever card, and you're used to earning rewards in cash or miles, but no one uses miles right now, and cash is cash, right? So our card is going to be the same function, just your rewards are Bitcoin instead of cash.
That's beautiful. I'm on the list for the card. I know that, so I'm excited to get my hands on it. And everything you just talked about that's basically a list of reasons that drew me into BlockFi. I saw this emerging growth. I saw the speed at which it was happening. I saw the legitimacy, and I was like, okay, sign me up. Let me get the interest. And also, next to the interest, you have access to Bitcoin. You have access to Ethereum, to Litecoin, to these, the blue chips essentially of the cryptocurrency industry. having that right next to your interest account, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I don't know, like, if you're into Bitcoin, this should be on your radar 100%.
Yeah, look, we're trying to build a product, or we've built a product, and we're continuing to build a product that is the one-stop shop for all wealth management and financial services needs related to your cryptocurrency, right? So I keep going back to this like bank model, but when you open a bank account, you deposit USD, you have all these options, these different bankable products, right? We want to create, crypto bankable products. It's not a bank at all. We operate differently, but the same mentality, right? It needs to exist for this space to thrive and for this ecosystem to continue to grow.
That's beautiful. I am excited to see it. I will be following the journey from the beginning till infinity,
forever,
to the moon. I'll be there the whole way. So you noted on some of the changes in the industry that you've been on, from being on the front lines of lending and finance before to your introduction to blockchain. What kind of changes do you expect to see in the future? Are they going to be relative to changes in the past, or what in your mind, aside from the prices? Obviously, up only. This is a space that's going to continue to grow and consume more and more. But what kind of changes do you expect to see?
I think in kind of like the short-term forecast, I think you're going to see new kind of products emerge using cryptocurrency as their base kind of asset. So things like mortgages, things like auto loans, things like IRAs, retirement accounts. Really all like to my earlier point, like creating products, but building them using crypto assets. So that's kind of like one avenue. So just continue the adoption of traditional financial service products using crypto assets. I think the second is payments, right? So I really think that the fact that you can move a stable coin anywhere in the world almost instantly for a very low fee is going to really redefine the way that people interact with one another and the way that payments operate from a B2B and a B2C perspective. Okay. So I do think you're going to start to see the ability for you to check out with a merchant in stablecoin, right? That's really connect cool. Your BlockFi account or some account like it to Gusto or Trinet or one of these big kind of payroll companies as a contractor and receive your income in stablecoin or Bitcoin. I really think that's where we're going to go, because if you think about me as an individual, right, and me as leveraging a place like BlockFi to manage my crypto wealth, etc. I would love to get some capacity of my income paid directly into my BlockFi account.
Oh, that would be
right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Like stablecoin, just stablecoin at a minimum.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one, right? There's hundreds of thousands of people that feel the same way. Absolutely. So I think that's another area I think could be really compelling in the call it 3 to 5 years come down.
Oh, I would agree with you 100%, and I'd be excited to see it. As someone, I've been working one of the side jobs I have. I help teach English. I work with a school in Beijing. And I've been with this school for a little over 6 years. So I've been getting border-to-border payments, having to convert currencies, having to pay fees, I lose roughly 10 to 12% of what I make just getting it into my checking account. So
yeah, PayPal alone charges 5% to accept international.
It's crazy.
So it's crazy. And look, we live in a world, right, where we have technology that can reduce the 10% fee to 1% or 50% or 50 basis points. We live in that world. So it's just a matter of time that companies start to adopt it, bigger businesses, banks, others start to adopt it, and then operate on those rails.
I agree. Now, to add on to that point, we kind of just spoke about the potential that these changes we might see here in the future. A lot of people talk about a hyper Bitcoinization event or a hyper cryptocurrency event where the hype just goes through the roof and a suction event happens where money just flows in endlessly as people are afraid they might miss out on a good chance to get invested either institutionally by converting a portion of your treasury or just retail wise, as far as being able to have access to it before it's too expensive. But kind of, I guess, like the potential that these cryptocurrencies might have, do you think 50 years down the road in the future, like in the future, will people be using these digital assets by choice, or will there come a time where we're using them by force? Will states hop on the bandwagon? Will we see nation states enforcing this and diverting away from their fiat? What do you think? And this is interesting with COVID too, because obviously cashless is becoming preferred, but preference is a step behind mandatory. So I'm interested into what you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. Look, I think at the end of the day, like the way that I think about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of these other not currency, let's call them like tokens for this particular conversation. I think of them as assets, right? So an asset is something that you're going to invest in for long-term growth, right? It's something that, like gold or like equities or whatever it is, you're putting money in this asset for a longer term appreciation or a play at appreciation, right? So if I am, personally coming in the market today and I see that Bitcoin is $50,000 a Bitcoin, well, that's okay, because I can buy a fraction of a coin. I don't have to buy a whole one, which I have friends who ask me these questions like, do I have to buy a whole? No, you buy a fraction. Yeah. And B, I'm not coming into this as a means of I'm buying Bitcoin and then I'm going to transact with my Bitcoin and, I'm going to use it to pay for goods and things of that nature. I personally am coming in using this Bitcoin to hold for long term.
Good.
To earn passive income on BlockFi, right? To leverage as collateral for a potential loan in the future. To maybe leverage as potential collateral for, a credit type product in the future. There's just, it's something for me that is not going to be a short-term, fast tradable asset or a transactional asset. It's a long-term hold asset that I'm, thinking about for the next 10 years. So that's kind of like the first piece. The second piece is like the currency component is the stablecoin component, right? And the stablecoin is pegged to the US dollar. So to the extent that like governments start to come in and, not enforce, but bring kind of blockchain technology to the forefront, I think will be much more around the stablecoin environment, where folks can use these rails, blockchain rails, to transact with one another, versus the asset environment. And that's how I think about it.
Cool. That's a great answer. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, I know I only have 4 or 5 minutes here with you left, so before we hop off, I would love to know what is an average day of work like for the VP of Partnerships and Business Development at BlockFi? What do you see yourself doing? Like, as a retail customer, I wonder sometimes, what are these people doing behind the scenes? Like, what does a job like this entail for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Making a lot of decisions on the fly. that's a lot of my world is strategizing, prioritizing, making decisions on a daily basis so that we can help hit the North Star kind of KPIs that a company like us gear ourselves towards. To my earlier point in the beginning, we from a partnership perspective absolutely love to partner with YouTube creators. This world that you guys are building is something that I cannot talk more highly of to anyone that I speak to, because of the amount of respect I have for people like you doing this on a day-to-day basis, but also the amount of money and the income you can make as a content creator now in our economy, right? Creator economy is pretty outstanding. It's pretty incredible. And I think like what drives me to this kind of creator economy partnership, right, world is that no longer do we live in an age where, an advertisement is popping up on the screen and you're seeing it and you're like, oh, that looks interesting. I'll click on it and move to the next kind of checkout screen. I want to hear from someone that I trust.
Right.
I want to hear from someone that actually knows what they're talking about, and they have a track record and they have good credibility. They have good recommendations, right? And I want to do what they do because what they do actually works. And that's what we see on YouTube now across many different industries, but specifically in finance, it's not that easy to just say, hey, Riley, go, sign up for this bank account, or go sign up for that crypto trading exchange, or go sign up for you don't know, generally speaking, what platform is going to, or what platform is good for you. And I think if you have a set of people that you work with in a community, or a set of creators that you like, that you trust, that's the place to go to get the best information. And then that's the place you're going to act on. So I think a lot about the creator economy. I think a lot about how to leverage things like, Substacks and Patreon and newsletters and Twitch and YouTube and Twitter and, the whole likes of it, because it's only going to be, it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to be more prevalent. And I think more people like yourself are going to create their own businesses and their own channels, their own audiences. And we want to be a part of all of them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful thing to hear. I'm glad you guys are doing that. It's very, very important. It connects the front lines with the back end. It's what can make you the most efficient in your space and with what you're doing. And that's a beautiful thing. I can't agree with you more. Now, real quick, one quick last question here before we hop off. One question I ask everybody that's on Building on Blockchain. And the Building on Blockchain, this podcast, it's more of a hobby for me right now. I'd love to monetize it one day as we start growing, but the whole point is just a background profile into a person or a company, a project that's building on blockchain, whether that be actually developing smart contracts, or maybe you're trading the resources, you're adding volume or liquidity, or allowing crypto loans, crypto interests. Like, all of these people creating content, they all combine into what this industry is and what it is becoming, and it's a beautiful thing. One thing that I ask everybody that comes on is when you tell yourself the story of Bitcoin and you think about who Satoshi Nakamoto might be, how do you answer that question to yourself? Who could the creator of Bitcoin be? What's the lead-in thesis you have? Do you have a hypothesis, or?
I think it's a group of people.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a group of people that are, remaining anonymous, like the Freemasons. So, who are just, they know that they created it. And
so you think they're still around and possibly still working on it, maybe in different shapes or forms?
I think there's this behind the scenes. There's a few people that are pulling some strings. I think, yeah.
Very cool. Well, that's a great answer.
Let's find out. Maybe it's Elon.
Oh, that's great. Well, Shayne, thank you so much for your time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's great to get a look into the behind the scenes at BlockFi. I've been a customer with you guys for 3 years now, and I will be for a very long time. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. And I mean, you've got nothing but support here from me and my team. And again, I thank you for your time. It's a beautiful thing to be able to peer into the background of a company and a product that you love, and be able to give them support and find out more and share that story. It's an awesome thing.
Cool, man. Yeah, look, it was great to come on. Definitely do it again. And yeah, happy to have you as a customer. Keep throwing me feedback whenever you need it.
Will do. Beautiful thing.